Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome those of you who have joined tonight. We're super excited. Tonight's session is geared towards teens, and so we hope you guys enjoy it. I want to tell you a little bit about our speaker. Before I do that, I want to just kind of also make some general announcements. One is that just if you're not talking or asking a question, if you'll keep muted so that we can all hear each other. Feel free to use the chat function and ask questions or chime in or introduce yourself or where you're from if you're comfortable doing that. And then we'll do a little wrap up at the end. So let me tell you a little bit about, first of all, my name is Amy Jepson and I'm the Behavioral Health Director for Crossroads of Western Iowa. And I'm going to introduce our speaker tonight, who is Brandon White. So Brandon White has spoken for thousands of youth and adults in nearly 50 states about owning it and life and leadership. He's been seen on TLC, Discovery Health, Fit TV. He has a TEDx talk out and even been on Wheel of Fortune, which is actually one of my favorite game shows. He attended Rockhurst University and earned his master's in business. At home, he loves spending time with his beautiful wife and crazy children, and leading and serving in their church. And he loves outdoors, sporting, and hunting. And Brandon is well known for speaking with adolescents and youth. And so without further delay, we will turn the time over to Brandon and let him get started. Welcome, Brandon, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. It's good to be back again with Crossroads of Western Iowa. And if you heard in that bio, it says I love spending time with my wife and kids. And I've gotten to spend a lot of time with my wife and kids over the past 10 months, because usually I'm speaking, flying. I've been to 48 states. I'm always on the road. But now it's, all virtual. So I spend a lot of time at home. And unfortunately, my wife is doing fine. But last week, she contracted COVID on her birthday. Like, happy birthday. She's like, I got this headache and, I should get a test just to be careful, just to be sure, She's like, but I don't have it. I know I don't have it. Sure enough, came back positive. And I tested negative as of 2 days ago. So far, I'm still feeling great, even though we're all in the house together. My 6-year-old can't go to school. He's being quarantined. My 2-year-old can't go to daycare. He's being quarantined. So it's like we are getting the quality time in. Although, we're the game is stay away from mommy. She comes down to eat and we're masked up and we just spread, like bugs when you turn on the light. But we're still doing good. And we're blessed that she has a headache, a little bit of nausea, feeling kind of tired. She got outside today a little bit. She's like, I feel like I can't go outside. I'm like, you can step outside. Just don't go talk to the neighbors. So yeah, this whole virus is just affecting our country, our culture, our mental health in so many ways. And it could change things permanently. We just don't know. It was a standard custom for people to shake hands. Was. And will it just all go back to how it was? Or I don't know. It's very strange. So get into tonight's talk. Last week, I spoke on owning it. And if you haven't seen that, I encourage you guys, if it's still available, watch that replay. It's all about taking ownership of who you are in here, your strengths, your fears, your weaknesses, your uniqueness, owning this so you can own that, right? Your goals, your aspirations, your opportunities. So tonight, something different. We're going to be talking about what are you building? What are you building? Because we're all building something. Whether you know it or not, we are all building something. Let me show you. These are big old Lego blocks, just so you can see them better. But playing. I don't know how much you guys play still, whatever age you are. But growing up, obviously, like other kids, I played a lot. And then I got around, middle school, and then the play kind of changed. It was kind of more like video games and playing basketball with friends. And then high school, again, it kind of changed a little bit. And then it kind of started growing up. And I remember at one point, I was just so far removed from being childlike that I remember coming across some kids and they were like playing with blocks. And I'm like, it's like inside, I felt like I don't have time for that. What's the point of that? I got things to do. And I think it's really important to remember to be childlike, not childish, right? Childish is like being irresponsible, being whiny. Don't be childish, but be childlike. And children like to build things. What can you build with these 3 blocks? Because kids are great with imagination, right? Sometimes as adults, we get so like structured and rigid. I mean, studies show that adults tend to have less creativity as you get older than younger people do. So the older person might be like, well, you do this, and you do that. There you go. I built something, a tower. But kids get really creative with it, They might do it like upside down. And they're like, oh, no, that's not good. That's not going to stand. That's going to fall over. Right? So the adult mind's like more practical. Or a child might like do something like this, hanging off the edge. And it's like, well, what's the point of that? There's no rules when it comes to playing. Well, most are like playing Monopoly or something. And then something like this. You can take 2 pieces, put them side by side. They're not sticking. But you take a 3rd piece, and the 3rd piece holds it all together. Important things to know in life. I just think there's so many cool analogies with this. Like sometimes coming side by side with somebody and being attached to a purpose can help build a stronger structure than if you were just do everything on yourself, stacking up one by one, and then it's really tall, but it's narrow and it can fall over easy. So when you're building a tower, let's say, you want to get a lot of these pieces, put them all side by side, and then connect them, right, with pieces like that. And it makes for a stronger structure. I feel like this is, what was that guy, the painter, Bob? And then somebody help me out. Who is that painter guy with the afro that everyone watches?
Bob
and it's
Ross.
just so, Bob Roth. Yeah. It's like this speaker is talking about building blocks, and I don't know, it's just I hope it has a soothing thing for you right now. It's like you're watching a Bob Roth video or something. It gets better, I hope. Okay. So anyways, the adult might say, that's unnecessary. That's childish, childlike. So before we get into this speech more, I want to do a top 10 of unnecessary things. These are my top 10 unnecessary things list. And I want to hear from you at the end what you would want to add to it. Let me redo this. I learned something with Zoom. If you don't click share computer sound and optimize screen, then it won't show that little annoying bar at the bottom. Okay, there we go. All right, perfect. So here is my top 10 list. Eating loudly. I got in trouble for this when I was dating my wife. Apparently I didn't know this, but every now and then I chew with my mouth open. And that was like a red flag that almost ended it right there. Saying literally. This is like something that bugs me. Literally, it bugs me. Like a lot of times it doesn't even make sense when people say literally. Like, what do you mean? Like, literally, I'm starving right now. Like, really? You ate 4 hours ago. Are you literally starving? Like, literally, like, oh, like, I'm gonna die because like that was so embarrassing. Like, really? Really, you are? Anyway, just a little pet peeve of mine. Literally. 8, tapping feet, pins, and fingers. You know the person. You might be that person. You're in class and it's like click, 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 click. Stop. 7, putting something back on the wrong shelf at the grocery store. I didn't even know people would even think about doing this, but I see it all the time. I'm going down like the green bean aisle and there's a carton of milk sitting there. They're like shopping and they're like, I don't want this milk, but I ain't gonna walk 20 feet back to put it where it belongs. I'm gonna set it right here where it can spoil. It's like, oh, it's so unnecessary, a waste. Don't tell me if you've done that because I just will never see you the same way again. Not being ready to order when you get to the counter. It's like fast food, right? Or even like you've had all this time, like you know what's on the menu, right? Burgers, fries, sub, whatever, you know. People get there and they're like, it's like, come on. There's like 10 people behind them. Number 5, finishing a food item and putting the empty container back in the fridge or pantry or whatever. So it's like, or like this, like you're eating, pistachios and there's like one pistachio left and you zip it up and you put it back into the pantry. It's unnecessary. Or there's like one little sip of milk. Maybe I'm too sensitive. I don't know. Is anybody else with me on these things? Or am I just being too? Number 4, using your phone on speaker loudly at a store with people around you. There's this Geico, I think it's Geico commercial. No, not Geico. Progressive, maybe? And whoops. And they're like teaching people how not to be like their parents, right? I don't know if you guys see this. And it's like the older people are like walking around with their speaker on. And they're like, do you need to have your speakerphone on? No, you don't. Number 3, talking or asking questions during a movie. My wife is bad about this. I think it's because she's like anxious. She'll just start asking questions like she'll ask me like, is this person gonna die? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know. Stop asking questions. Just watch. Number 2, sniffing loudly instead of blowing your nose. Okay, I do this because like I get allergies, right? And I don't know this, but I'm like every 5 seconds. And my wife's like, blow your nose. Okay, number 1, finding food in your teeth and eating it. You know you've done this. Come on. If you have never done this, I need to know because I just like you find it and what are you going to do? There's no trash. Like you don't spit it in the middle of class somewhere. You just eat it. You just eat it. It was already like going there and you're just helping it get to its final destination. All right. So I need to hear from you all. What do you think is unnecessary? Anybody in the chat or wherever, if it's Facebook Live, let me know because I can't see that chat. Let me know, what do you think is unnecessary? And you got any pet peeves, any things that you're like, oh, that's just so unnecessary. Overusing the word like. Yeah. I think I overuse in videos. Listen, or you see, like I'll say, you see what it is, blah, blah. You see, I noticed that in my last video, I just say it a lot. Spitting. Yeah. Especially in Midwest. I don't know if it's a both gender, but I've known guys who are just like, for no reason, just kind of just hock a loogie and spit. Drinking loudly. Yeah, when it's like ice something and there's not a lot left, but it's like, it's like, it's not worth it. That half an ounce is not worth it. Let it go. Eating loudly. Yeah. Any other ones? Okay, so I'm not the only person who gets annoyed. There are things out there that are unnecessary. We all agree on it. Here's another one in the chat. Coming to a complete stop to turn. That is not necessary, but it is required by the law. I know this for a fact because I got a ticket for not coming to a complete stop. And here's the funny and annoying part. The next day, same subdivision, probably same cop, rolled through a stop sign. And I'm like, oh no. But I can't give him or her a ticket. It's the law. In the chat box, or not using your blinker. Yeah, that's annoying when people just decide to turn and they don't hide their blink. They don't show their blinker. Yeah, that's annoying. I mean, we could spend entire 2 hours. I don't want to get you guys revved too much because I understand there's a lot of things out there. Let me continue on with the presentation. You're like, what's the speech about anyway? What are you building? That's what the speech is about. What are you building? And talking about kids and play and how it can seem unnecessary. But let's talk about some other things that are unnecessary. Oh, before we get to that, I have a Christmas present for the Crossroads of Western Iowa. It is, check this out, my unnecessary wristbands. That's right. They're thick wristbands that say unnecessary. And on the back, they have my website because I shamelessly plug myself. And also I'm going to include some copies of my novel, Freshman Wisdom. It's great for anybody in middle school or high school. It's about a student going into high school and wrestling with his inner battles, and a lot of good stuff in it. So I'll send a bunch of those wristbands and books, and then the organization can send them out as gifts or prizes or whatever. Merry Christmas. Okay, here we go. Question. How much did the United States spend between 1960 and 1973 to land a person on the moon? Take a guess. How much? Take a guess. I'm trying to pull up my chat and it's not letting me pull up my chat right now. Anyways, if something's really urgent, let me know. It's not letting me pull it up. All right, anyway, I could probably see it over here, my other computer. Answer, $28 billion, or approximately $283 billion when adjusted for inflation. So in other words, $283 billion in today's money. Does that sound unnecessary? It's a little trick question here. But come on, $283 billion to land a person on the moon? Is it worth it? I mean, what could you do with $283 billion? What kind of things could you try to cure, like cancer, or help, poverty or whatever, right? And a lot of people had that concern where it's like, we shouldn't be trying to go to the moon when we have people we need to help here in our own country. But I want to make some points on this. 20 things we wouldn't have without space travel. So because of the Apollo missions, but mostly other NASA related missions after Apollo, because of that, we now have, or we have it sooner than we would have, memory foam mattresses, scratch resistant lenses, enriched baby formula, camera phones, portable computers, Nike Air sneakers, freeze dried fruit, Invisalign, high powered solar cells, ear thermometers, ice resistant airplanes, precision GPS, home insulation, cochlear implants, wireless headphones, computer mouse, CAT scans, UV blocking sunglasses, ski boots, improved automobile and tires. And I think the list goes on. And this is why. To land on the moon, we had to build technology. right? And as a byproduct, we as a society got to benefit from those new technologies that then turned into industries, jobs, increased standard of living, cool athletic shoes. So was going to the moon unnecessary? Well, it depends on how you look at it. A lot of good things came from it. A lot of bad things too. I mean, people died trying to get to the moon. So there was some cost associated with that, not only with money, but lives. But what else did it give us? It gave us an inspiration that look at what we can do as a country when so many people literally thought it was impossible. We can basically do the impossible when we put enough time, effort, teamwork, energy, perseverance into it. So was it unnecessary? Depends on how you look at it. Is building blocks unnecessary? Depends on how you look at it. Play is so important for kids. It can create pathways and connections in the brain. It can build relationships as you play with other kids. It can teach things like teamwork and discipline and perseverance, problem solving, right? So in a lot of ways, I think it is necessary. Okay, next question. What is the world record in feet for the tallest Lego tower built? Go ahead, take a guess. 12 feet. Now, a little bit higher than that. Answer? 118 feet, built in Tel Aviv. So here's the tower. Whoa. Was this unnecessary? I mean, come on. How long did that take? I don't know. Couldn't they do something better with their time? I mean, there's some risk probably too. I mean, they got cables holding it up, but what if it falls over? Right? And then come on, somebody's gonna probably break that record next year. So what's the point? Think about it. What could you do? What's the point of that? Well, I'll tell you what the point of it was for these people. For one, it took 500,000 Legos. But it was built in honor of 8-year-old Omer Sayag, I don't know how to pronounce his name, who died of cancer. So they knew beating a world record would gain attention. And they used the attention as a way to promote a purpose, a higher purpose. You see what I did there? Higher purpose. And because of that, they raised money, they raised awareness, and they honored Omer, which building Legos was Omer's favorite thing to do. That makes you look at it a little bit differently, doesn't it? So, what is necessary? Well, I think having a strong foundation is necessary. We talked a little bit about this in the Own It speech. Like a tree, the tree's foundation are its roots. The roots support the growth. So what is your foundation? For a lot of people, it's their looks or something they're good at, like basketball, so they make it all about basketball. Or maybe they're smart, so they make it all about their grades. Or maybe it's friends, and if I just keep enough friends around me. Right? So they find something to build off of. But what happens when you get too old for basketball? Or you graduate and you can't play anymore? What happens when you get older and your looks start to fade? What happens if you have to move and you lose your friends? You see, our foundation needs to be built on something a little bit stronger, something that can actually strengthen as we get older. something we can take with us, not because it's outside of us, but because it's within us. A strong foundation is built on character. That's what we talked about in the last speech. Discipline, honesty, trustworthiness, integrity, perseverance. Those are the things that when you become them, they make you more powerful and capable of doing things. It's like if you want to chop a tree down, you could use a butter knife. But if you have a nice big axe, it's going to be way more effective. So if you go through life and if you want friends and if you want to achieve your goals and acquire the level of career or job that you want, if you want to have peace of mind, if you want to have as few as unnecessary mistakes as possible, then you need a good axe. And that axe is character. Because character is going to help you from doing the unnecessary. And the unnecessary, which we're going to get to in a little bit, are all those wasteful things that send us in the wrong direction, that frustrate us, that hurt us. And a strong foundation helps prevent those cracks, prevents a collapse. Number 2, purpose and plan is necessary. You don't have to have your whole life figured out, especially a teenager. That's kind of part of it. Being a teenager is you are still forming it and figuring it out. But I want you at least to be mindful of looking and forming and figuring out that purpose and creating a plan. Because a lot of teens, they don't even think about it. And they just kind of go through life until they graduate. And then it's like, I'm just going to do this because so-and-so's doing this. And if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there. So here's something that we talked about last week. What do you want? And the formula was, I want to blank because blank, and I need to blank and not blank, and I can get help from blank. And we had some people share. That's just a simple little formula that helps you fill in the blanks and kind of get you started. This could be a small goal like, I want to be more outgoing and talk to somebody and meet somebody new and make a new friend. I want to raise my grade up from a C to a B. I want to spend a little bit less time on the phone and a little bit more time with my sibling. Whatever that goal is, just fill it in those blanks. Here's another tool you could use. SMART goals. You might have heard about this before. But whenever you make a goal, make it specific. So when you say, I want to blank, instead of saying, I want to be happy, be specific about it. Because it's hard to measure happiness if you're not specific about it. So if having quality friends makes you happier, then you could say, I want to improve my relationship with Josh. Okay. And I need to, it could be something deep like I need to forgive him, or I need to apologize to him, or I could need to spend a little more time, or I need to be more of myself around him, or it could be a lot of things, right? And probably all the opposites. Procrastinate, let fear dictate my actions, on and on. And I can get help from, it could be a friend you trust, a parent, me, right? Specific. And that's how you measure it. Because either you did that, like we talked about, talk to him or apologize or forgave him, or you didn't. You can measure whether you did it or not. It has to be attainable. You can't be like, I want to make 100 best friends by tomorrow. No, it's not attainable. Relevant. Relevant means that it's like, does it make sense with your life? Like if you had a goal of like, I want to get a B in math, and I want to also become a zoologist, but it's not really relevant with your passion or your strengths or anything else, right? So that's a bad example, but you know what I'm saying? It has to be relevant with kind of who you are and what you want to do. T, time bound. That goes to when are you going to do it? So if you have a goal of, like they did, building the tallest tower, they had a set time for it. Going to the moon. I want to see how smart everyone is. What was the time frame they had to go to the moon? And who's the person who set the goal to go to the moon? Come on. I need to see how smart everyone is. Who set the goal to go to the moon, and what was the time frame? It was specific. It was measurable. A lot of people didn't think it was attainable. Some people questioned whether it was relevant, but as we talked about, there's a lot of causes and reasons for going to the moon. Let's see what we have in chat. That's right. The president at the time, JFK, John F. Kennedy Jr., or JFK, he set a time frame of 10 years. So it was in 1961, I think they set the exact goal and said, by the end of the decade, we're gonna go to the moon. And he said, we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Oh, you remember that, what I had on my shirt last week? Love the tough. That was on the back of my shirt. Because the tough makes you tougher. And whenever you're thinking about goals and building something in life, sure, you could do something easy. You could be like, done. What's on Netflix? But easy usually ends up being boring. And you want to push yourself enough, not to where it's unattainable, but push yourself to where it's exciting. Because if you do like a graph, right, where it's, the more difficult it gets, the kind of more scary it is. And if you go too far, it's just impossible, right? But you want to go up to that limit to where it's scary and exciting, and you can actually do it if you work hard enough. That's the sweet spot. That's living. That's making yourself proud of yourself. That's necessary. Because this world needs the most of what you have to offer. Okay. Number 3, resources. What did it take them to get to the moon? What kind of resources? Financial resources, human resources, natural resources, and probably something else I'm not thinking of right now. It took a lot of different resources. So whenever you are thinking of a career or even something smaller, think about what resources you need to acquire, utilize. Human resources. Who do you know that can help you? Who do you need to be around more who will rub off on you and make you more of the person you want to become? What kind of books? Because those are literary resources, but it's also human resources because you're learning from people. When you listen to podcasts and you watch inspirational videos at Youth Mover on YouTube, you get inspiration from people. You're getting support and encouragement from people. That's a human resource in a sense, right? Financial resources, saving money, being smart with money now, creating a budget to where, like, if you have a job, saying, okay, I'm going to save first, and then I'm going to spend second. I'm going to put a percentage of what I make into my savings so that it can grow. My wife and I, she's been really good with being responsible with money. There's a guy named Dave Ramsey. He's, I think, a great resource for financial responsibility. And we took this course on Financial Peace University, and it really helped us. So I encourage you guys, if we're talking about what you want to build in life, well, in resources, a lot of that is financial resources. And you don't have to make $100,000, $200,000 to become wealthy. It's kind of like the Wheel of Fortune story I told you when we won the game. It's not so much what you get, it's what you do with it. It's not being wasteful, right? That's unnecessary. It's about having a plan and saying, all right, if I make this, I'm going to save this, then I'm going to spend this, I'm going to budget for this, right? It's taking ownership. So resources, think about the resources you have, also the resources you need to acquire to accomplish that goal or that career, right? All right, last one. Perseverance. Actually, there's two more. Perseverance. Man, going to the moon. If they just gave up on the first failed flight, it would have been over within the first year. So much of success is determined upon not giving up. And then the second part is learning from those failures. It's not doing the same thing. It's not repeating mistakes. The only true, well, what's that quote? A mistake is when you do something once. When you do it twice, that's a choice. It's your fault if we don't learn from our mistakes. So perseverance is staying with something, but learning as you fail. Don't just keep repeating the same mistakes, right? Don't like be a dog who chases its tail. It's persevering, but this leads me to number 5, adaptability. It's adapting. So I'm going to get a little bit about my story and kind of do some case study here. But I am where I am today because of people, and I shared the story about Brian, cross-country story. What is that? Who helped me build a foundation of character. But I also pursued that myself as well. Purpose for my life. For me, it's faith-based. That's my purpose. My plan is to impact students, is to influence them to take ownership of who they are and what they want. Resources, when I first started speaking, I paid $1,000 for somebody to train me on how to start my website, how to market to clients, how to create the business document contracts, how to develop the speech, how to market the speech. Yeah. So I spent resources in order to acquire resources. That's called investing. So I invested into myself and then into my career because I was serious. Because I had a foundation, I had a purpose, and I had a plan. My plan was don't reinvent the wheel, learn from other people who have already done it, and then persevere and adapt along the way. And for me, I'm always like thinking that I need to be better, which is something I struggle with. It's never enough kind of thing, which I got to work on. But at the same time, I got to stop and be like, man, I'm so proud and grateful for how far I've come in my speaking career. I've been doing this 10 years. I've spoken in 48 states. I've helped thousands of students in some way or other. And it's pretty much because of this 5-step plan here. All right. That's the picture of Wheel of Fortune. And that's similar to what we did on there. Okay, let's go. This is kind of a summary of what we talked about so far. I have 2 points I want to make. The first, the most powerful thing is a person who works with others for a purpose. That's the most powerful thing in the world. You can say, well, the most powerful thing is a hydrogen bomb. That's the most powerful thing. No. The hydrogen bomb exists because a person worked with others for a purpose. Everything that exists physically started mentally. Even whether it's great things like Nobel Prize winners and what they've created for the world, or even something like a student choosing to work on stopping a destructive habit of theirs, a student choosing to seek help with something they just can't figure out on their own. That's powerful. And that's powerful because it's a person who's willing to work with others for a purpose. Even things like, the Holocaust. This can go negative also. We as humans are basically potential. We have this freedom of choice that the animal kingdom doesn't really have. We have this consciousness. We can choose the type of person we want to be. A monkey, or an elephant doesn't wake up and be like, I'm going to be a better elephant today. I want to work on these habits. No. A human is so powerful because they have the freedom and potential to choose the type of person they want to become. But the real power is when they work with others, like I did by getting help from other speakers for a purpose. Most powerful thing. That's what they did to get to the moon. Second point, it's not about the door. It's about the doors behind the door. Come on, that is good. That is so good. I love that. Yes, part of it's about getting to the moon. Part of it was about beating Russia to the moon. But what were the doors behind the door? Look at all the stuff that was created. Look at the different people who were inspired by it. Look at the scientific breakthroughs that came from it. And even for me becoming a speaker, you know where that first started? It started with that Brian story with cross country. When I opened the door of choosing to run cross country and get in shape to be better at basketball, that then opened many more doors. I increased my confidence. I went out for student council. I became student council president. I saw a motivational speaker. And because of that new confidence and because of that new position, I realized I wanted to be a speaker also. And then when I became a speaker, there's just so many other things. Like I did ballroom dance in college. That opened doors to where I met certain people, which gave me opportunities. And then I use it in my speeches a lot. I'll do different activities where I teach group swing dance or salsa dance as a way to teach teamwork and leadership. So the whole point is this. A lot of people get so caught up on the door where they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And this isn't really the main thing. And this isn't really what I want to be. And I don't know. No, just open the door and go through it because there's other doors behind it. And sometimes you just got to go through several doors before you finally get to the door that you're meant to get to. But you're not going to get to that door unless you open up the previous doors. Yeah. I don't know. This is just, I just love that concept. Okay. So I know I'm doing a lot of lecturing right now, which maybe you like, maybe you don't like, but we're going to eventually transition a little bit to where I want to try to ask some people for some participation. But if you don't want to participate, that's fine. I'm a speaker. I can talk a long time. One of my favorite movies, Moana. So many life lessons in Moana. What was Moana building? What was her goal? Man, we can dive into this. What was her original goal? Well, she felt called to the sea, right? She was kind of rebelling against this tradition, this kind of box that her family was kind of putting her into, right? And I think her purpose was kind of fuzzy. She didn't really know who she was or what she wanted. The whole ancestors thing, she didn't really even know that much. She didn't realize that the ancestors used to travel in boats. And what was she grounded in? Pride at first, but the wrong kind of pride, maybe a little arrogance, stubbornness, but also determination. She had some good characteristics to begin with. Courage. But then she started to discover a clearer purpose. And she realized that the sea was calling her to return the heart of Te Fiti. I'm speaking this as if it's like history. And she was willing. And I think that's a lot of it. Is sometimes we can have opportunity come to us, but we're not willing to open the door. She was willing. And she also wasn't listening to the negative things around her that were fear-based. Now, I'm not saying don't listen to your parents. I'm not saying don't listen to your teachers, right? But I'm saying sometimes people's motivations are too much in fear. Fear asks the question, what if you do this? Oh no. What if you talk to that person? What if you try out for this? Oh, what if? And we should ask our fear, what if I don't? And that is something scarier to think about. Where will I be in 5 years if I don't? Who will I become if I don't? What path will I go down if I don't? So yeah, there's risks whenever you try to shoot for the stars or the moon. But what if you don't? You stay stuck on the ground. So Moana, she decided to not listen to that negativity. And she set out on a boat with the chicken. What's the chicken's name? Or rooster? What's the rooster's name? I can't think of it. Anyway. Ho-Hey, thank you. I did not want to dishonor Ho-Hey. So they get to the island with Maui, right? And Maui's all arrogant, blah, blah, blah. And does she give up? Yes or no? Yes, she gives up, and the movie's over, and it's a terrible movie. And Disney does not sell many copies. No, that's not how it goes. She doesn't give up. She perseveres, and she adapts. She goes after, and with the help of the ocean, goes after Maui, and eventually convinces Maui by her perseverance and her capabilities and her passion that she is meant to do this. Yeah, okay. So they go after, and then they start to have obstacles, more obstacles, right? And then Maui's staff, I forget what it's called, breaks. He loses hope because he was grounded in what? His foundation was in what? It was all based on the staff. instead of based on his character and who he was. So that's a little minor example of how somebody can be grounded in the wrong thing, right? Or put all of their faith in the wrong thing. And Moana persisted. And at the end, you see them fighting Te Fiti, which is so cool because it's like that metaphor of like Te Fiti, the fire monster, is like the metaphor of ourself. And it's about overcoming ourself, because behind that is the true self. It's the green, beautiful, peaceful Te Fiti, right? The fire thing was Te Kā, right? Yeah, Te Kā was the fire, and Te Fiti was the peaceful side. Yeah. So what was Moana building? She was building a future for her people, for herself, for her reputation, but more importantly, for her identity. She was building relationships. She was building trust. She was building something worth it, something necessary. And what did it take? It took resources, maybe not financial, but it took the boat. It took Maui. I'm sure Hohei, I think, helped some way. I think he did somehow. It took a lot of time. It took effort. It took sacrifice. So, just some of the reasons why Moana is one of my favorite movies. Any comments? Anything you want to contribute out there based on Moana and what we're talking about, or even something else? Any comments as we get ready for our break? You can chat it or you can say it. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. When we come back from our break, and we'll talk more about what's unnecessary, but then I'm going to get into some other concepts. Some concepts that will build off what we're saying, but it's going to go a little bit deeper, and then maybe we'll get some participation. I know I'm kind of like a college professor. I can get really serious with things, pretty deep and passionate, but I hope this is kind of interesting and hope it's relatable or, effective for you guys in some way. Before we go to break, actually, let me show one more thing. What are you building? To go to the moon, we had to build what we needed to get us to the moon, but we also had to become astronauts. Moana, in order to return the heart of Te Fiti, she needed boats and Maui and blah, blah, blah. But she needed to become the princess she was meant to be, right? The person she was meant to be. So to get where we need to go, we need to become the person that's capable of going there. Astronauts go to the moon. So think about, what kind of person do you want to build inside of you that will take you where you want to go? What's unnecessary? Repeating mistakes, worrying, distracting yourself with your phone or silly things that are unnecessary, comparing, and wasting your time, wasting opportunities. So we'll stop there before we go to the next part, and we'll be back, and I'll give you 5 minutes, and we'll be back. I'll see you then. Thank you, everybody. And welcome back, everybody. What Are You Building is the workshop / keynote for tonight. Let's finish strong. I'm going to talk about, let me get me in the right spot first. Okay. Paper airplanes. If you've never done a paper airplane before, that's sad. I've actually met a kid. We were all doing a paper airplane competition, and obviously like little kids, but like he's like, I never did paper airplane. I was like, what? You never did a paper airplane? So hold on. Let me get a piece of paper. All right, so to build, see, what are you building? To build a paper airplane, there's different ways you can do it, but the most classic way is to take two sides, top, bring them down like that. Yeah, I'm not a perfectionist. And then to fold it, was that hot dog style? Okay, so you have that. And then bring the flaps, the wings down as far as you want, really. There. So that is the standard paper airplane. I kind of already forgot it, but there's a better way of making a paper airplane. Okay. So you take this and you fold it in again. So you're building weight and you're making it like a more slender, narrow, like rocket airplane. Okay, so hold on. This is the Bob Roth, was that his name? The Bob Roth has come back tonight. Just kick back and enjoy the vibes. Okay, so I did it again. Now that's good, but I'm gonna do one more. There. Okay. So see, I kept folding it in on itself. Now I want to fold it hot dog style. The thing with paper airplanes is you want to make them really like pointed. You make that as pointed as possible. Okay, try to make it like symmetrical. Okay, now it's more slender. There's more weight located in the center, right? Now let's just fold the flaps down like we did before. Maybe you're doing it at home, I don't know. The final thing with this model, see how slender it is the vents, is that what you call it? And the back tips. If you fold them up, let's just crease them at like a 90 degree and then kind of loosen them a little bit. Okay, see how they kind of curve up? If you do that, what direction will your plane go? In the chat. Bob Ross. Yeah, Ross. Thank you. Not Roth. Ross. Bob Ross. If you point the flaps up, the plane will go. How's my plane? Okay. If you point them different directions, I think I have this right. Point them up. If you point them up, I think they're supposed to go up. Anyways, you can adjust the flaps and it'll change the direction it goes. So this type always beats the elementary and middle school and high school kids in airplane competitions, always. But there's another type. There's another type of paper airplane that's sometimes better than this type. You want to see it? This is how you do it. One step. Smush it really good. This is a paper airplane. No, it's not. It's a ball. Who says what a paper airplane has to look like? When you build a paper airplane, there's no right way of building a paper airplane. What's the purpose? For it to fly. Is this going to fly forever? No, there's no like engine on it. So it doesn't have to fly forever, just fly as far as possible. If the purpose of a paper airplane is to fly as far as possible, this is a great paper airplane. The central of mass is compacted. You don't have to worry about like having the perfect like release. You just wind up, you chuck it. And I get students every time on this. They'll do their paper airplanes. They'll go 20, 30, 50, 60 feet. And then I'll get mine. And sometimes I cheat because I'm trying to make a point. This is how I cheat. Instead of taking one piece of paper, I slip in 2 pieces of paper. So it gives me more weight. I know. And I take it and like throw my arm out and that thing just shoo across the floor. And some people are mad. They're like, that's not a paper airplane. And I tell them like, look, sometimes it's easy to think that the blueprint of your life that you're building has to look like everybody else's. Has to be just like your parents or your friends. And it might look completely different. And it should look different based on who you are. It shouldn't be based on your friends or your parents or society. It should be based on you. Based on your interests, your skills, passions, strengths, weaknesses. And then it's okay where it's like, hey, I try out this build, this blueprint. I do it a few times and I'm like, that doesn't feel right. I'm kind of getting bored with that. And you rework it, you mix it up, you try something different. You see this all the time with like people like in styles, right? Like when I was in high school, I went through styles. I had like the long hair and I was wearing like band t-shirts and nothing against that. I was just going through a style. I was kind of feeling it out. I was more kind of, I went through like the stage where it's kind of more like preppy, clean cut. Just trying to figure out what my blueprint was, trying to figure out what my build was. But kind of going back to that, it's not about the door, it's about the doors behind the door. You know, there's some students, I do this activity and they're like, I don't want to do it. Yeah, I don't know how to build a plane. Or that seems unnecessary. That doesn't seem fun either. Really, they're afraid of failing. And they are, I don't know, they're not being childlike enough. They're too grown up, I guess. So when you think about what you want to do and where you want to go, allow yourself to think outside the box. I'm not going to use any more cheesy puns. Like, set yourself free. Allow yourself to, no, I'm going to stop right there. So at this point, I want to show you something that my son Lawson built. Remember we started with Legos? And can I bring Lawson on stage here? Lawson, come on up, buddy. This is your time to shine. So first, can I pick you up? Mm-hmm. All right. This is my 6-year-old Lawson, which is getting harder to pick up. Lawson, say hi.
Hi.
And what grade are you in?
Kindergarten?
Kindergarten, that's right. But why can't you go to kindergarten right now?
Because my mom has the COVID.
Yeah, mommy has COVID. You like to build Legos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me brag on you. You are really good at building Legos. Can I show them what you built?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you show them. But did you have somebody help you with this?
No.
No, you did it all on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Were you looking at instructions?
No.
No. You used your own creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll let you show them. Hold it close right there. See that? This, what is that? What'd you build?
A monster plane.
A monster plane. Not an airplane, right?
Yeah.
A monster plane. What makes it a monster plane?
Because it has these creepy eyes and it has the steering wheel in the front. No one's driving. It has leaves on it.
Okay, there's the creepy eyes in the front. And it's got leaves on it. Very important to put leaves on monster planes. And there's nobody driving it. Okay, thank you, buddy.
We'll have to take it in.
Okay, you can take it upstairs. I know. He's cute, but he can also be really ornery, trust me. Austin, that's my 6-year-old. Again, monster plane. I never would have thought of a monster plane. Right? That's the creativity. That's the freedom of allowing yourself to think outside the box with what you do, but also who you are. And you never know what it's going to lead to. What doors are behind doors. Him building this is going to trigger something about something else he could build. But also me looking at this, it could give me an idea like, hey, for my speech coming up with Crossroads of Western Iowa, why don't I include this in the speech? And I bring him on camera, right? You see how him doing that led to something more. So you never know how you are going to help yourself, but also how you're going to help others by thinking outside the box, not limiting yourself with what you build. Okay, let's see. Before we move on, let's see if there's any participants out there. See if there's anything in the chat. Okay. Anybody want to share something that they are trying to build in their life? You know, it kind of ties in with last week. We talked about goals. But maybe you had time, or maybe there's new people on tonight. Does anybody want to share something they're trying to build? And it could be anything. It could be a career. It could be habits. It could be relationships. It could be building structure into your life. Anybody want to share? You can either say it in the chat, say me, or you can just start talking. You don't have to, but I'm going to give you the opportunity. Okay. I'll share something with you of what I'm trying to build. I have a lot of things I'm trying to build. That's probably the problem. I'm trying to build a coaching section of my business. Okay, so my business is mostly me giving speeches. That's like the main business model income driver is me giving speeches. But with COVID, you know, there's not as many speeches. So I'm wanting to do more coaching one-on-one. And I even developed like a page on my site. You can't see that page simply by going to my site. It would have to be through an external link. But the page has a video of me, and it talks about how I'm offering one-on-one coaching with teens around the country. Yes, it costs money, but it's all about just like a personal trainer, just like a counselor or coach. One-on-one training is better than anything else because that one-on-oneness allows me to know specifically what you need help with or what you want to improve upon versus me giving a generic speech that might help you, right? So I've been wanting to build this. So let's use this as a little example. Do I have a foundation? Well, my foundation was built off of character that I've been working on my entire life, which is not perfect, but I work on it. My previous speaking career, my current speaking career, the knowledge I've acquired from books and speaking to students on social media and in person, right? So that's my foundation. What's my purpose? Is my purpose to make money? Well, sure, that's part of my purpose. You know, I have to, in order this is my job. But I think my purpose needs to be more than money in order for it to allow me to persevere. Because there's times where it's like, if anything, you're going to have difficulty with what you're wanting to do and become in life. And if your purpose is just like, I'm just going to do it because of money or because so-and-so told me to or expects me to, eventually that fuel is going to run out. And passion is kind of like that fuel in your spaceship, which helps you get all the way there. Hey, buddy, go use that upstairs, buddy. Okay, I can't have any noise right now. Okay, thanks. So you need passion, but you also need a plan. Because what if you have all passion? Like, I'm just so passionate about being a coach, but I don't know anything about that, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll just go out in the street and find a 16-year-old and be like, hey, can I coach you? No, if you don't have a plan, it doesn't matter how much passion you have. A plan without a passion leads to burnout. And passion without a plan just leads to frustration. Because you want it, but you don't have the means of getting it. So what's my plan? My plan is I created this landing page, and I've been doing pay-per-click on Google with search terms of like teen coaching or character development for teens and stuff like that. And so far I spent like $60, nothing that much. And I've had 44 clicks. So it's specific. I want to create we're talking about goals, right? And building something. Remember, SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Specific, I want to create a coaching program that generates at least some revenue. And I could put a dollar amount on it, right? But it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to take over my speaking career. But it's specific, it's measurable, because I can say if I booked a client or not. Also, I can look at Google pay-per-click and see how many clicks there are and see if it's even worth that investment. So far, nobody has booked yet. It's been about 3 weeks. So this is the next part, right? Perseverance and adaptability. So I have to persevere. But what's the point of me just spending $1,000 on pay-per-click if it's not really generating any results? So I have to adapt. What is another strategy I can use? Well, I'll give you a tip. I'm doing it right now. See, whoever's watching this might be like, yeah, I want some personal coaching from Brandon White. Yeah, maybe I'll message him on his website at brandonleewhite.com. Okay, yeah, so I'm using this as an example for my speech, but also, hey, this is adaptability. You got to look for opportunities and not be like insensitive or rude about it, but have the courage to speak up. Reach out, try it, yeah? And it might lead to something. Okay, so that is an example of something I'm wanting to build. Now, before I give you another example, and before I go into some more slides, let me give another chance if anybody wants to share something. 10 seconds. If anybody wants to share something, type it in chat or let me know. 10 seconds, no pressure. Something else I've been wanting to build is stronger relationship with really my entire family, including my wife and kids, but also my parents and brother. I have one brother, older brother. And I've been intentional, I like to think I have, over time. And that's the key. Just like going to the moon didn't take 1 year, it took 10. Sometimes building deep relationships takes time. There's a quote that goes, with people, fast is slow and slow is fast. I learned that, I think it was from Stephen Covey, or maybe been John Maxwell, one of those speakers. So for example, if you just try to like be fast with somebody by being impatient, that's actually slow, because what you're doing is you're hurting the relationship, and what you ultimately want will probably now take longer to get. Whereas if you take your time and do it right, and invest into that person, it'll actually end up being closer to what you want quicker. Just like if you want to go to the moon, you could just rush in and build something, and then it blows up, but then you wasted all that time instead of taking the time and doing it right. So for me, I'm wanting to build better relationships. How do I do that? Give you some free coaching right now. Here are some tips on how to build better relationships. Empathy is a big word with relationships. Empathy is trying to feel what other people feel, being sensitive to what they want, to what they don't want, caring about what they care about. That's a big sentence I use in my household. The motto is care about what the other person cares about. So my son, what does he care about? Fun. That's what he cares about. What do I care about? Structure, raising a responsible child, and I care about fun, but the responsible child is more important than just us having fun all day. So if he wants to jump on couches, if he wants to like throw food, that might be fun. It might be what he wants, but it's not what I want. And I also know it's ultimately not what he needs. But if I just go in there like, blah, 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 and yell and spank and do all this negative stuff, that ultimately can be actually slower, because he then thinks that he's just a mean guy, which is sometimes true. But he can just think, Daddy doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about what I want. He doesn't understand. Yeah. And what I'm wanting is to raise a responsible child and a loving child and have a great relationship with him. That's what I want. I actually end up making it harder to get that. So I have to care about what he cares about. Here's another quote: a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So if the medicine is to teach him responsibility, I need to include a spoonful of sugar. I'll give you an example. When we were trying to teach to potty train him, instead of us, like getting on him, like, don't, like, oh, making it all anxious, we put a chart in the bathroom. And whenever he went to the restroom, he got to put a sticker on his chart. He was then in charge of it more. And also he was proud of it more. And he was having fun because he got to pull out the stickers and see all these stickers and look, I went potty. So he was getting what he wanted, still having fun. And I was getting what I wanted. Care about what people care about. I'll give you an example with my father. My father and I both like to hunt. Now, there's some things that I like that he doesn't like, and vice versa. But if you want to build a relationship, care about what they care about. Talk to them about what they want to talk about. Do things with them that they like to do. So my father and I, we hunt together. And we also talk about business because he has his own business, and we like talking about business. Now, if I just went to him and I'm like, I just start talking about all this other stuff that he doesn't really care about, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to go hunting, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to improve that relationship. So empathy is caring about what the other person cares about. And that is going to build a better relationship. So I'm wanting to build stronger, deeper relationships with people. To do that, purpose, right? Plan, perseverance, adaptability, all that comes into play. So those are some tips. Hope you liked them. Hope they meant something. Hope they help you in some way. This applies to your siblings, your parents, your friends, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. I don't care. Right? The whole point is care about what people care about. Be intentional with that. Another tip is instead of getting mad, don't think about it. Don't think about it as what they're doing to you. Think about it as what somebody has already done to them, right? That's one way to think about it. Like, what have they already gone through, which makes them act this way? Another way you can think about it is instead of mad at them, I'm sad for them. You see, mad is taking it personal. Sad is empathizing. Like, man, I bet they don't want to be so grumpy. I bet at some point in their life, they were a more compassionate person, right? So now I'm empathizing. I'm being more sad than mad. And with this perspective, it helps you to respond in a way that is constructive, that builds something, instead of in a way that tears it down. We've all been there, right? We get mad, we get defensive, and we take a bad situation, we take a rough relationship, and we make it worse. We tear it down even further. We light them bridges on fire. It's so easy to do that. And when you work on your foundation of patience, empathy, you work on that by being aware of it, it's going to allow you guys to have better relationships with yourself and with others. All right. If there's any comments, please use the chat. Got any questions? Go ahead. Or maybe you just enjoy hearing me talk. Okay. Oh, we already did the break. Okay, no! Dang it. I didn't mean to do that. I already gave it away. So for the fun of it, let's back up and I'll tell you how it's supposed to go. Using these 4 dots, can you connect them using 3 lines, starting and stopping on the same dot? So if I were to start here, 1, 2, 3, does not work because you have to come back. That would be 4. You can't use 4, you have to use 3 lines. 1, 2, 3 doesn't work because you have to use all 4. I skipped a dot, right? So I do this example with students, and so many of them, they get their finger in the air, they're trying to figure it out. They're like, can I use a circle? Like, no, that's 1 line. You got to use 3. And they can't figure it out. And then finally, I show them the solution. And the solution is to think outside the box. You have to literally go, I just said literally. You have to literally go outside of the box to make this work. So kind of with the paper airplane, okay? I want you to think of this as getting outside of your default. Say default, default. Default is the thing that maybe you are programmed at, and it's kind of currently set there. Or maybe you were born that way. Maybe you were born a little more shy. And I don't know, we can get into nature versus nurture, but you know, it's that default setting that you, when it gets difficult, your default is to give up. When somebody gets harsh with you, your default is to shut down or to get mad or take it personal or try to just change yourself to be what they want you to be. What's your default? And I want you to get outside of that. I want you to step outside of yourself and look at your life as if it was a movie. We're going to get to this example at the end. But thinking of your life as a movie, if you're the main character in your movie, which is your life, what would you want that character to do? Think about this. Maybe you're like, man, this main character, he's doing good. Or she's doing good. Yeah, there's been some tough things along the way. Hasn't been perfect, made some mistakes. but they're doing good. They just got to hang in there and stay with it and stay true to who they are. Or maybe you're like, man, this main character has just really gotten off the path. They're building things they don't even care about. They're doing things that are so unnecessary or unhealthy. And maybe at first you're kind of like ashamed and kind of angry at this character. But then maybe you kind of move to empathetic. And you're like, man, this character has been through a lot. And this character did not have fill in the blank. This character was missing out on fill in the blank. And that wasn't fair. But like every great movie, the character has a choice. What will they do now? Despite what happened, what will they do now? Despite what the other person did to them, what will they do now? That's the power of a human, is to decide the type of human they want to become. You can't decide what you were born into. You can't decide even some of the genetics you were given. You can't decide sometimes what people have done. But you decide what you do about it. And I'm not saying you got to solve it in one day, but open that door, because that door is going to lead to more doors. Talk to that person, because that's going to lead to other people, right? Okay, I'm hoping it's hitting you. Hope it's hitting you tonight. Think about this. What do you want versus what you don't want? Most people focus on what they don't want. I don't want to be lonely, so I'm just going to be fake so I can have friends. I don't want to fail, so I'm not going to try. I don't want to be poor, so I'm going to get this job that I don't really care about. And you have to think about things that you don't want. That's important. But your driver should be what you do want. I want quality friends. So I want to focus on being a quality friend and finding people who care about what I care about. That's very different than I don't want to be lonely, so I'm just going to surround myself with whoever and be whoever I need to be, right? Instead of I don't want to be poor, you say, I want to have a meaningful, purposeful job, career that can give me the amount of income I need. Yeah. So something like that is going to be more constructive than focusing on just what you don't want. See, what you don't want is more fear-based. What you do want is more courage-based. Don't live your life out of fear, live it out of courage. Be smart, don't do silly things. But don't live your life simply avoiding things. Live your life pursuing things. I'm going to say that again. Don't live your life simply avoiding things. Live your life in pursuit of things. Woo! Next point. Offense versus defense. I was going to show you a video of my old glory days playing basketball. I still might do it. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So I played basketball in high school. And if you remember from the story, Brian wanted to be in the NBA. It didn't happen, but because I did cross country, I lost some weight. I became in better shape. And then I ended up becoming a varsity starter in basketball. I was pretty good. I wasn't really good. I thought I was amazing, but I was okay. I really wasn't that great, but I was okay. And anyways, in basketball, you have offense and defense, just like with other sports. Offense and defense. Okay. Let me show you a little clip so I can pull it up. We're going back, way back. Okay, let me go to the spot I want to show you. So the spot I'm going to show you is I was a freshman. I think I was a freshman. And I was playing on JV, junior varsity. And it was a home game. Okay, here we go. And we're going to be in white jerseys. We were the Mill Valley Jaguars from Shawnee, Kansas. And we were down by 2. I'll just share my entire screen. Maybe that'll work. Okay. So we were down by 2. And we had the ball. Okay. Here we go. I want to make sure you can see sound on this. So what do we need to tie the game? We need a 2-pointer, right? But what do we need if we wanted to win the game? A 3-pointer. Now I want to be honest with you. When I catch this ball coming up, in my mind, I thought we were down by 3, which is why I shoot the 3-pointer. But we were only down by 2. So, a lot of people were like, just go for the 2 and tie the game. So my friend David, he has the ball right now on the far right side of your screen. We're on offense. The other team's on defense. The point of defense is what? To prevent bad things from happening. It's to respond to threats, which would be the other team scoring. What's the purpose of offense? The purpose of offense is to achieve the ultimate purpose, which is to score a point in the game of basketball. Okay, we're going to tie this all in a couple minutes. But here we go. Goes in the hoop, and we won the game. And it was a cool memory for me that I have way back in the day with sports. So let's talk about this offense versus defense real quick. And then we'll get ready to wrap up tonight. Most people play defense. What's going to happen today? I'm just going to wait and see. Oh, somebody said something about me. I'm going to play defense and react and get defensive. Defensive. See what I did there? Right? They play defense. They wait on things to happen and they just react. And they have no course, no path, no blueprint, no plan, no offense. Yes, you need defense. And actually, a better way to play defense is to be preventative. Think about things that could happen and prepare for them. So, hey, somebody's probably going to say something today that makes me offended. Just assume that. And before you go to school or your work, say, when that happens, this is what I'm going to do. So you see, that's better defense, but really that's kind of a form of offense. Okay. But let's just categorize it as defense. That's smart defense. Because if you do reactive defense, you don't have time to think and you're probably going to get defensive and not say the best things. So prepare yourself. Like, this is probably going to happen. So this is what I'm going to do when that happens. Now, when we get to offense, offense is, despite all this stuff going on around you, where are you going? Are people pulling you from one place to the other like ping pong, bouncing you around? Or are you going someplace And you're dealing with these things as you're going. So that's what we're talking about tonight. What are you building? I want you to have goals and dreams and destinations that you go in life. But I want you to first focus on what are you building in here? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to hold on to a little bit closer that maybe you're taking for granted? What do you need to forgive? What do you need to try to forget a little bit? What do you need to buckle down, get a little bit more serious, a little more disciplined? What in here do you need to commit to? Because that is going to help you become the astronaut you need to become to get you where you need to go. So, offense. Think about these things tonight and this coming weekend. I know you can get anxious thinking about, I got to have my life figured out. But what's that thing on your heart right now that you know you can work on? Is it a relationship? Is it with school? Is it with work? Is it a habit? Just pick one of those things that's on your heart and start making some offensive plays. Some offensive plays to where you're in control of the game. The game is not pushing you around. Life is not pushing you around. You are in more control of what you do. All right, let me finish out with this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a quadrant that can help you out. The top left is important and urgent. Top right is important, but it's urgent, but it's not important. Or it's important. I think I messed this slide. I think I messed this slide up, didn't I? Let me just fast forward so you can understand what I'm trying to say. A lot of people spend their time in things that are important and urgent. In other words, they're fires. They're putting out fires, which, yeah, you got to do. But where you need to spend most of your time is in the quadrant that is important, but it's not urgent. That's like spending quality family time or friend time. It's not really pressing. You don't have to do it, but it's important. These are things like studying, diet, exercise, mindfulness, meditation, prayer. These are also preventative. If you spend more time in this quadrant, you will have fewer fires. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to build your life, you have to be intentional and have the good offense. And the offense includes these things that are in this quadrant. It's important, but maybe it's not urgent. And then the other quadrants are like, distractions, interruptions that are urgent. They're important, but they're not urgent. And simple mindfulness. Sorry for screwing that slide up, but you get my point. Spend time in the upper right quadrant. Okay, let me finish with a couple more things. Remember, I talked about your life as a movie, and as the actor, you choose the plot. You can't really choose the beginning, but every character goes through this structure. You have the setup, the beginning of the movie, and then you have the confrontation, the thing that happens that there's the crossroads. You see what I did there? There's crossroads. There's a crossroads, and the character is either going to go one way or the other, or maybe a variation. They're going to go more of the wrong way, or they're going to choose to go more of the right way. And in all good movies, it's going to have it where the character decides to go the right way, and the character's changed, and there's a good resolution, and yay, that was a great movie, which you saw in Moana. Moana had to make those personal choices inside her heart. But here's the key point I want to make, is that almost every single character does not do it alone. Moana had Maui. Batman had Alfred. Spider-Man had Uncle Ben. I mean, you like every character or superhero, whoever, does not go through it alone. There's somebody there who helps them through the struggle. So for you guys tonight out there, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I want you to take these things we're talking about, take them to heart. And then I also want you to find somebody maybe you can share this stuff with, something that stuck with you tonight, maybe something you screenshotted tonight, something you wrote down tonight, and share it with them. And see if maybe you can hold each other accountable or encourage each other. Or go to somebody and say, hey, I'm struggling with this and I trust you. Can I share something that I've been feeling or dealing with you? That could be a counselor, it could be an adult or parent or trusted friend. Okay? Because if your life was a movie and you're 16 years old, you have watched about 20 minutes of your movie, 24 minutes, if the movie is 2 hours long. If you are my age, I've watched over 40 minutes of my movie. If you are 85 years old, which is about the average age of how long people live, well, you're at the end of your movie. And a lot of people watching this tonight are younger. So you have a lot of movie in front of you. But what's the most important part of a movie? Well, you could say the end, but really it's more of not the very beginning, but kind of 20, 30 minutes in. Because those are key moments that what they do then determines the rest of the movie, or it can play a big impact on negative consequences or positive consequences that come to the character later on. It's like the foundation of the building. If you build it strong early on, you can build taller later on. So however long you live, because you don't know how long you live, it might be 85 or not. We don't know. But what we do know is we have today. And today, we have to own. We have to own it. I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope you got something out of it. I love you guys. Thank you, Crossroads of Western Iowa. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Brandon. That was great. We appreciate your message to everyone. I just want to let you guys know that we did record tonight's session and we will add it to the website. So if you missed it, or like Brandon said, if there was something in there that you heard that you thought might be good for a friend, or you want to rewatch a certain part of it again, you can go back to the website and you'll be able to view it there. We also want to give a shout out to Iowa Southwestern Region on Mental Health and Disabilities for generously giving us a grant to be able to bring this to you tonight. And also just a quick reminder that we will continue these series in January 2021. Woohoo, 2021. So January 14th, 2021 is our next teen session, and we'll have 2 more after that. The next 2 will be from Franklin Covey on highly successful habits for teens. So we're excited about that too. So tell your friends. We hope you enjoyed this. Tell your friends, share the message with them. And we really appreciate everyone joining us tonight. So with that, we'll see you on January 14th. Thank you.